You're funny.
We're on like Donkey Kong. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another EMwomen Live, where we are coming at you live from Dallas, Texas, and Iran. And not really, but she's from Iran. I'm so excited. How cool would that be that we have this?
I know, right? I mean, we do this all the time. Remember, like at Network 7, we would broadcast to Iran and to different places.
Yeah, right. So here we are bringing it to you live. Real, raw, relevant conversations about topics that are affecting women today. If you are not familiar with EMwomen, then you need to go to EMwomen.com and see what we're up to and how we are rescuing, restoring, redeeming, and then we're resetting women back into the marketplace. There's a lot of talk tonight. We're going to be talking about a lot of topics, but there's a lot of talk right now about human trafficking, child trafficking, about selling human beings like a piece of meat. And, really human trafficking takes place every single day, not just in the physical form, but also in the practical form of people who are not giving all of their time, talent, and resources to a greater cause. So they're just being used. They're being trafficked by a company. They're being trafficked by the wrong relationships. And then we've obviously got the real human trafficking that we deal with all the time. So tonight we're going to be talking about some big topics of forgiveness, topics of letting go. And we are joined tonight by Meschi, who is from Iran. And she is one of our EMwomen that has been radically restored. Her life completely changed. If you haven't seen the latest EMwomen stories video, Lily's in it. So go to EMwomen.com and it's right there on the homepage. And you can hear more about, you're going to hear a lot about it tonight, but she's in that video where it talks about a lot of the ladies who've been rescued and redeemed and restored. And so welcome tonight, Lily.
Thank you.
We're so excited to have you.
Thank you. It's my honor to be here. I think the viewers need to know like how you and I connected on a personal level. Like, so basically I met you when I was at Victory Bible Institute, and you came as a speaker. You were a guest speaker, and you came and spoke on the topic of leadership.
Professor.
You were, during the time that I was there.
Oh, I was a guest.
But you were a professor for sure. But you were just teaching on that night on leadership. And I was just, for the first time when I met you, I was just fascinated by you. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to become just like her, an effective communicator who really, like, you connected with all of us, and we were a large audience there. You connected with every single person there at the audience. And I was like, I want to become a speaker like her, a communicator like her. I want to become a coach like her, a leader like her. And so it was all wanting to become like Staci type thing. So I started following you on.
What year was that? Do you remember?
Back in 2011.
Wow. Okay.
About 9 years ago.
Yeah.
So I started following you on social media, and I was just very excited because when I moved to Dallas, you and Larry and your family also moved to Dallas, and I was like, yay, that's another way to be able to connect with you, but we never connected until I realized that I needed a mentor. A lot happened in my life when I actually came to a point that, oh my gosh, I need a mentor like her. And that's when I reached out to you. So I don't know if we want to talk about, what happened that I came to that pivotal point.
Let's go back, because I actually remember that first phone call. And first off, what was most memorable was you were so honoring. And just like you just did, you went back to talking about when you first saw me on stage and communicating. But you came to isn't it interesting? I think this is very interesting how you can be in a season of your life and you don't know that the alignments that are happening for a moment,
yes,
relationships that are going to happen for a lifetime.
For a lifetime.
But that's what was happening then, is there was a momentary, I'm on stage, you're in the audience, crossing, but then there'd be a season where God like puts it all back together again. Where were you at the day that you called me? Where were you at in your life? Like, what had led up to that moment?
So soon after, back in 2011, I met you. I was in a Bible college, and then about a few years after, I had a really terrible divorce. And so after my divorce was over, I made a decision that, I am not going to just survive anymore. I'm going to thrive. And so that was the motivation that really got me up in the morning every day. I'm going to take it to the next level. Wherever I am, I'm going to grow, and I'm going to choose and develop a growth mentality, a growth mindset. And so I started reading a lot about, God blessed me with a lot of different positions and in leadership positions and all that, but I was missing a lot of pieces were missing from the puzzle. So I started reading, Jim Collins, Good to Great, or
let me stop you there for just a second, and let me do a little intro of you,
right?
Because a lot of people don't know that you are a very successful businesswoman. You've had tremendous success in the area of finance and training financial literacy and investing. And so when we're talking about you coming to the table, and I mean, obviously with EMwomen, we have so many diverse testimonies. We've got women who have been trafficked, who have been abused, gone through domestic violence, who've been incarcerated. Yes. We've got women who are addicted to Botox. We've got women who are just all states of backgrounds. We've got women who are business women, who are brilliant at making money, but broken in life.
Right.
When you came, what was beautiful is you came when you called me back, and through this, I have a love-hate relationship with social media.
Yes.
But right now, there's just so much nastiness in social media, but then all of a sudden you get a phone call, like the phone call you gave me.
Yes.
And that it not have been for social media, there wouldn't be that connection for you
Absolutely.
to reach back out.
Absolutely.
But you are still, and you were then such a powerful businesswoman, but you were being crushed in other
Yes.
areas of your life.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted everyone to know that, just from a success standpoint, you are what we would call a boss babe. You're what we would call a boss mama, and you've got a beautiful daughter. You've scaled incredible companies, but here you find yourself in 2011 in a place where things are starting to shift.
Yes.
Okay, tell us what happened next.
And so after that, I started reading and all that, and I realized, okay, well, in order for me to be able to really gain success in every domain of my life, financially, intellectually, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, especially, I needed someone who can speak into my life. I needed someone who has gained success in those domains of life herself or himself, and that I can follow in her footsteps. So following you on social media, I knew that you are a church girl. I knew that you were very, very active and engaged in your spiritual life. You were, I knew that you were not a legalist. I knew that you see things outside of the box. So I really always appreciated it, that about you. And also, I noticed how successful you are in your marriage life. And you have two beautiful kids that are successful in their own realm. And, one is a teenager, or they're not teenagers anymore. Back then they were teenagers, and yet they were competing in speaking debates, and they were successful, and you were successful, getting business accolades here and there. And just, I was like, you know what, if she is willing to coach me, I get the best of both worlds with her. I wanted to grow in my spiritual life. I'd be able to really take my knowledge about the Bible, about my spirituality to the next level, as well as I'll be able to really learn from her from the business world perspective. And so that's when I reached out to you, and I was wowed by how receptive you were in you welcoming me into your group. And that's when you introduced introduced EMwomen, and I'm still honored to be a part of it.
Yeah, and you know what was interesting in that? Do you remember what year that was that we reconnected? Was that 2018?
Yes. It was 2018. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what's interesting about the timing of that was prior to 2018, in 2017, I was so busy corporately and in business, I wouldn't have had time to take on coaching clients. But when we were asked to step away from our careers and step away from what at that time had identified me, you know, the awards and the stages and all, and when God said, I want you to lay it all down. And it was reminiscent of the rich young ruler, right? And when the rich young ruler heard that, of course, he said no. And he went away sad because he was of great wealth. And Larry and I, when we said yes, it was a real pivot for us. And it was a season of such faith and trust. I was just telling somebody that came over, a pastor that just stopped by a few minutes ago, and I was talking about those months and those years. It went on for 2.5 years where we just became available to God, starting EMwomen, coaching doing some private coaching, and really just feeding 10,000 homeless people through, we were the event coordinators with a lot of other companies, but Larry and I were the event coordinators of it, and just saying yes, like a radical yes. And isn't it interesting, Lily, that you came in that season?
Absolutely.
And not the season before that, when it would have been about business, and I would have been trying to think of business ways for us to align and creativity and merging ecosystems and all that. But you came into a season where I was like 100% yes to God, that you send me a woman, I will do everything I can to rescue, redeem, restore, reboot, reset, reinvent, whatever it is that she needs. I'm all in that. And you came, and that's when EMwomen had been rebooted. And when you stepped in, I remember when you came in, and first off, you're just stunning. You're gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
And you're tiny, itty bitty. But when you came in, you came in extremely in need, but you came coming to give, because you were so generous in your verbosity, so generous to the other women. I knew, because you and I had had a private conversation, but that was the beginning. Because we always say, even in women, every woman has a story, and every story can change the world. And not every story is, you know, I was dying on the side of the road and somebody found me after doing meth. That's not everybody's story. But every woman, some women's stories that their parents passed away when they were little kids. Some are that they came to US from Iran and had that whole challenge to deal with, and the language challenge, and with abusive relationships. So everybody's story is different. But Lily, every woman has a story, and every story can change the world. So you got involved in EMwomen, and what started to happen?
So when I joined EMwomen, first off, I felt as though that missing piece that I was looking for was found. It was the support of all the women that I was getting, that I was missing in my life, because I honestly always have had issues finding friends that would click with me, because like I'm kind of a spiritual person. At the same time, I want to be out in the world too. I'm kind of like caught in the middle. I don't know, like I still haven't found my happy medium. And so I always had trouble with that. So when I entered EMwomen, I found I received the tremendous amount of love from you. Education. I found like your curriculum that you have put together on finances, on networking, on the power of women out in the marketplaces, the voice that we are given, the power of negotiation. And it's just I felt like I'm still in it. And we're still going through it every day. We're learning something new from you. But I felt as though your mission is to equip us. Your mission is to educate us, and really to get us ready to rock and roll in the world that we are surrounded by. So it's a progress. I am a work in progress. I'm still learning from you, but Again, this evolving EMwomen has been very supportive, has been extremely empowering to me.
Well, you know, it's interesting too, because something you didn't cover in about, you know, because there's a lot of groups that you can go to, networking groups, church groups, Bible study groups. Sometimes when you look like you do, it's a little, you get judged when you walk in the door. Sometimes it's like,
Sure.
She's so pretty, how could I ever relate to her? What we've been able to do that is very unique is, I mean, we've got women of every age, background. We've got women who used to be lesbians. We've got women who've been molested. We've got women who have been incarcerated. We've got women who are stinking rich.
Yes.
We've got women who are, well, they're not poor no more, but they came to us poor. Now they got jobs and they're crushing it.
Sure.
But we've got the beauty of womanhood is that it's beautiful. Our curves are beautiful. We're not one shape.
Right.
We've talked often about, you know, we might get to heaven and find out that God actually liked a little bit of junk in the trunk. What those heavenly bodies look like. We might be spending a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of extra on trying to be skinny when, hey, who knows? God might be all about women just being full of joy and gentle and kind. And when we drop these bodies, we might be actually investing into human bodies based upon what we do here on earth. And that's not about size and that's not about color. It's about the character of who we're becoming in the process. And, you know, Lily, I think to myself, even in this next season that's coming up, because you and I are going to be collaborating on financial literacy classes on the next level. Because of your background in finance and because of your background in investing, you have the opportunity right now post-COVID to go, well, what am I going to look like post-COVID? Do I want to look like the woman I was going into COVID, which is a successful boss babe in the financial realm? Or do I want to pivot out of COVID and actually use my life to build something bigger than myself, something that can actually bring other people into it? And I love where God has you right now, because those are the thought processes that companies are going through, that people are going through. What can I do that I should have done before? But now this whole COVID thing is giving me pause to reflect and to really get, well, you mentioned Good to Great, the book by Jim Collins. And it talks about, you know, being on a bus, but being on the right seat on the bus. That way you don't care where the bus is going as long as you're on the right seat. So let's just take a look, for example, of EMwomen. You're on the bus. It's the right bus. We know it's the right bus. But let's hypothetically say you are, and this is a business tactic that you can use for your family, you can use for your business, you can use this for your employees. But in Good to Great, the example would be like, let's say in EMwomen, you come to EMwomen, you go through this life change, and now we're talking about how are we going to repackage Lily and send her out into the marketplace more effective than ever before. And we look at that and we say, well, you know what, Lily's in EMwomen, and because we deal with women and a lot of women are hurting, let's put Lily feeding the poor. Well, while Lily may be good at feeding the poor and it may touch her heartstrings and might even curve, you know, put a little dingly danglies on her ego, because people are like, oh, that's so wonderful, you feed the poor. But if that's not the seat on the bus you're supposed to dominate in, you will become unhappy and eventually you'll get distracted. Shiny objects will come and you'll be looking for something else. However, if we look at the bus, let's say EMwomen is the bus, and we go, well, Lily, what are you passionate about? You're like, I'm passionate about helping women financially. So what could be a seat on the bus? Well, then now that you've gone through your season, let's now take your expertise and let's start crushing it and creating financial literacy. This is one of the reasons why we want to get our headquarters here in Frisco, Texas as the first headquarters, is to be able to begin these, not only our curriculums that we've been obviously tested and proven have been phenomenal, but now to take them and put them into specific classes, financial literacy classes, family development classes, communication classes. And so, Lily, this is a new season where we're going to be partnering together and really taking financial literacy to another level, because there's a lot of people who are hurting in COVID right now because they didn't have a plan B. And they didn't think it could ever happen to them, that their employer could lay them off or could put them in a place that they were vulnerable to the system. And so we're going to be creating those plans, and I'm excited about it because
I am too. Absolutely. Just, you mentioned post-COVID, and I have been, as you know, you have been very closely monitoring my progress, and you know exactly what I've been up to. But post-COVID, I mean, I have been doing a lot of contemplating on, Lord, what is it that you want me to do? And like when I see, and I think it as detrimental as it's been, it's been doing a lot of good to so many of us. Just resetting and like really pushing that reset button of where am I in life? Like, what am I doing? Am I really walking in my calling? Am I really fulfilling my purpose? Am I really doing what you just said? Am I really doing what I'm good at? Or am I just going through the motions and like, making the ends meet and a little more and just getting by and all that, yet I'm not really operating in my calling and purpose in life. And so I have been doing a lot of contemplating as to what I need to be doing to be really flourishing in my gifts and talents and what God has given me an opportunity to be able to learn, one of which is, financial literacy. And I'm so excited that we're collaborating. We're going to collaborate, and we're going to really establish something that would be a benefit and advantage to so many women out there. And men, if they want to learn more about it.
We have so many men that tap in and pipe in, and that are even watching right now and come to the local chapter meetings. A lot of times they start off coming because they're supporting their girlfriend or their wives, and then they're like, "No, this is for me. This is real." And we're not afraid to talk about the big words. We're not afraid to talk about things that other people would like. Shh, we don't talk about that here.
Right.
We talk about it all, because if we're not talking about it in a transparent way, in a healthy setting, and the only way we get educated is an unhealthy setting, then all of a sudden somebody doesn't know, well, is masturbation good or bad? So we drop the M word, and we're like, well, unless you know the detrimental side of that world, you just think it's no big deal. And you can even go to places where there's people that'll advise you, this is really important for self-fulfillment. And until they're the ones counseling people whose marriages are falling apart because there wasn't knowledge and wisdom aligned with specific topics. Same thing with, sex in marriage, right? Like, why would we want to talk about that? Why would that be something? Because it's important. Because if you're not talking about it, I promise you, your spouse, be it male or female, is trying to find creative ways to keep it hot.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about those topics. Let's talk about finance. If you're not talking about it in your everyday, where you've got wise counsel coming to you, chances are somebody's taking advantage of you financially.
Absolutely.
And they're putting you into a system where you become a cog in the wheel instead of an innovator and a collaborator and a creator.
Absolutely.
So we teach women how to become creators. I think specifically this tonight, many of you guys know Christina Willis, and she's been like one of our, can we call her a poster child? Because I mean, like an epic, amazing success story. And so when women come, we have the E4 program: embrace, educate, equip, and empower. And so Lily, when we connected and you came, we embraced you right where you are. You said it was just so amazing because I just felt so loved, and they didn't care about all the things I had gone through that's embrace.
And there was no judgment too. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
but
no, that
was the thing that kept me coming to our meetings. It's because absolutely there was no judgment. Yeah. Like, you guys knew what I went through. You knew where I was in life. You knew my struggles, yet you kept on loving me. Yeah. I felt so loved on that I was like, oh my gosh, every woman that I know out there that is struggling needs to come to these meetings, because you get to get loved on. And I needed so much love then.
The power of embrace is we love you right where you are now. And oftentimes that's where a lot of churches leave you there. We're not gonna actually get into your nitty gritty. You just keep coming and hopefully you'll change. We're gonna get into your nitty gritty, because I had somebody recently that I talked to, and we were having conversations about specific topics. And she says, so what do you think about this?
Right.
And it was a very, very intimate topic. And so we started talking about it. Well, lo and behold, she just broke down on the call because even though she is a very, very successful influencer, this is a secret part of her life that no one knows about. And she has no one. She's like, God forbid if I ever went to church and ever said this to anybody. So we live these lives where we compartmentalize the important things because we don't really want people to know about it.
Absolutely.
And then you come into an environment like EMwomen where you are completely, it's like, I might be jacked up, but I'm not as jacked up as her. And there's just this love. And that jacked up girl, like, oh girl, I know, I was so jacked up. And it's like, everybody's okay with everybody's best, but no one's okay with staying there.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
that's where the process goes. We love you where you are, embrace, but we love you too much to leave you there.
Love it.
That's where it goes. Embrace, educate. So the next step is let's just look at how you could be better. Let's just look at how life could look for you if there were a few little tweaks or changes. And so I think about a couple of folks here in the last 2 years that have gone through the process. And I think how big the leap was from embrace to educate, because they had no concept of God. They had no concept of love. They had no concept of forgiveness. They had been so beaten and so abused that their identity of human, of a male, let alone a father, was so twisted and distorted that the education process was so important. I had one young lady that came, she didn't even know what the word fornication was. She didn't know that sex was precious. She was just like, this is just a way of expression, just like I talk. Sex is the way I express connection. And man, you talk about an empty soul. She was broken. She felt worthless. So the world will tell you, no big deal. Everybody does it. But then you're used up and you're like, I have no feeling anymore. Right. I don't trust people in me because I've given myself away so many times. So I watched that person go from embrace to educate. And when the light bulbs started going on, they were like, oh, I'm a treasure.
Right.
I'm valuable. I'm not just a doormat. This is just part of the process that I have to go. And that educate process becomes beautiful. So we got embrace, educate, and then equip. And when equip starts, we actually start working on skill sets. And the skill sets are where we talk about, okay, what are you good at? Right? I mean, what can you do? What kind of job do you want? And a lot of ladies who haven't had a job for a while, maybe they've been married and they've gone through a divorce and they haven't had to work, or maybe they've been, a lot of homeless folks have a poverty mentality, so they don't want to work. They'd rather work the system of handouts and gimmies than they would actually work a job and start to create a pathway to career. So we have to go through that. How do we put skill sets, which are usually innately from God, but they have to be developed? Like I didn't wake up being a great communicator.
Absolutely.
That was a skill developed. You didn't wake up being a TV host. You had to develop that skill to where you could actually communicate on air, right? Right. I think of, interestingly enough, again, I had a call today. We were talking about, you weren't there, but we did a leadership meeting last Thursday. And we had a gal that got up and we gave her 3 minutes to promote her business. And so this is something that just a part of supporting small business for women. But we want you to also be a good communicator of your business. So she gets up, fabulous, absolute. First off, she looked gorgeous, dressed perfectly. Her presentation was great, very good communicator. But when she got up, and I think I see her on here tonight, when she got up, she immediately, I mean, probably nerves, but immediately started selling her business and what her business was, the name of her business, where the business is located. And she had 3 minutes. And so at the end of it, we knew a lot about the actual brick and mortar of the business. Yeah. Not what they sold, not what value they provide to people, not that they were a nutrition company. And so I said, you know, you go 3 minutes and then I'm going to give a 2-minute coaching session. And then the rest of the room gets to ask questions. Right. And so I asked her, And this is where we start equipping with skills, right? Skill set equipping. Is I said to her, I said, so you came in and you got, let's say you got a room full, let's say there's 500, but really let's just say there's 20 women in the room. And what do those women want that you have?
Right.
And she's like, how do I know that? I said, exactly. So you are selling something you think they want. But all we really need to do is, and this is called a micro distinction between being a good speaker and a great speaker. A good speaker might come across with a really eloquence of speech. A great speaker comes across with an outcome that the people in the room are looking for.
Right.
So that they can lock into that message and then walk away going, oh, okay, I found something I can use for the rest of my life. So I said, just ask the question. Go around the room right now and ask the question. If there's one area in your health that you would like to change, what would it be? And so she went around and every single woman in the room said weight loss.
Wow.
And I said, so now when you give your 3-minute speech,
there you go.
You know what the call to action should be at the end of your speech is, if you're looking to lose weight, come and see me after tonight, and I want to give you a free sample, and I want to walk this journey out with you. That's a micro distinction of communication. That's a skill set. You don't learn that in school. You don't learn that just by graduating college. You learn that because of practice. And so Lily, those are the things that's equip. And then of course, empower is when we want to help you get out into the marketplace and really land that position. So, and then we introduce to you that in the process of that and thereafter, whether you're making money or not, you need to know what to do with the money. So whether you're making $500 a month or you're making $500,000 a month, everyone overspends by 20%. Everyone.
Absolutely.
So before you elevate your lifestyle, money only makes you more of what you are. So if you are terrible at finances and you get more finances, you're just going to be more in the hole. You're going to have comments in the hole.
That's right.
So Lily, when you think about some of the ladies that maybe you know in your life, maybe ladies that are watching tonight, what would you say is something that they can do today in order to get plugged into EMwomen, in order to get involved, how would EMwomen impact their life?
I would say, most of us do. Most of us that are into self-development and want to really grow in life, whether it be in our career path or whether it be in our parenting style, skill set, whether it be, emotionally and mentally, we need to get to a place where we're not depressed all the time. We're energized and we're motivated. We need to really learn about what motivates us and all that. And in order for us to be able to do that, we need to really be surrounded by a group of people who have walked the same path and who know what you're going through and really holding your hand throughout through every step of the way. And so, EMwomen, I believe, when I said I needed help in every domains of life, every aspect of life, I had gained some success here and there emotionally to master my mind, controlling my mind and having the mindset of positivity and all of that. I had gained some level of success there, but I needed to take it to the next level. I was reaching stagnancy. I was plateauing there in my growth. Mm-hmm. So my suggestion to every woman that is watching us is, if you want to grow, if you want to get out of your funk, if you want to find motivation, you need to plug into EMwomen, because that is where we can take your hand and really help you go to your next level. And with your coaching, with your support, with all the women, with Christy, with Sandra, with all of us there, I think we can help each other out and support each other to really grow in our walk. In every walk of life.
where you're crushing it and you're feeling great, but maybe there's a place where you say, I want to be a mentor to other women.
Yes.
We have great opportunities for you to come alongside. And truthfully, what we do with EMwomen, it's not easy because we don't give up on women. And
absolutely.
Women give up. Women go through depression. They go through anxiety. Women have, one day they'll be great coming to the meetings and coming on the Zooms, and then all of a sudden you don't see them for a couple months, and you just know they're cycling.
Yes.
But we don't change just because people change. That's one of the beautiful things that we want to reflect God. God doesn't change. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And so we know that we're going to pay the price for being consistent, and we're going to love unconditionally no matter how long it takes.
That's right.
And that's not easy, because there's times I have to say, there's times I just want to get, I want to, I don't want to say beat them with a 2x4, because some of these women have been beaten. That wouldn't be a good thing to say, but I want to just shake it into their head and say, don't give up on you.
Right.
You're worth it.
Yes.
Because so many people have quit on you. So many people have given up on you. So many people let you be nasty. So many people let you go off and do your thing, and then they cut you off. We're not going to cut you off. And that is, we're going to keep saying, come back. You might have messed up, but we're not going to give up on you, because we believe in your place on this planet to make a difference in the world. We believe that God has a plan and a purpose for you. And,
absolutely.
Lily, do you ever deal with depression?
I do, actually. I deal with depression. I do deal with a lot of disappointments and discouragement at times. And I can tell you, it's been almost a daily challenge for me, especially during COVID. Because, being a professional, having been out in the marketplace for so long, having really by God's grace, having been able to establish myself to a leadership position and all that. And all of a sudden, you're working from home, and the COVID has impacted your business so much that you don't know where to begin anymore. It's been affecting me emotionally and mentally a lot. But then I can tell you, it is a daily practice of encouraging myself, reading the Word of God, praying and worshiping, connecting with EMwomen. And there have been times that I'm doing all of the above, and I still am like, I need someone to pray for me right now. I need someone like Sandra, like you, like Christina, like Donna. I need these people holding my hands and just lifting me up in spirit, because we all need that lift in our spirits from time to time. We all are going through so many things in the world that it's just like, sometimes it just shatters our dreams and everything that we've been working so hard for. And we're like, I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. Like, how is this going to change? Except if you use faith and have someone to speak into your life. Keep on reminding yourself of the promises of God. Keep on reminding of yourself of your identity and who you are, and what you're made of. And the world is going to crush us, like you said. There's so many different negativities. There's so many bad news. There's so many things that go wrong. That just, it's been crushing all of us. I mean, everyone that I know in my circle.
Isn't it interesting? So obviously we're surrounded by a lot of chaos right now, and division and hatred. And you mentioned it. You can be a very, very strong human being, woman, male, female, whatever. And here's what we have to remember. It is the enemy. It is his job. All the demons, all the forces of darkness, it is their job to get you to quit. Right. You are not their first dog and pony show. You're not the first human that they've used tactics on in order to manipulate your thought processes so that you go fetal, so that you quit, so that you leave your family, leave your husband, leave your life. You know, they've been doing this for thousands and thousands and thousands, maybe millions and millions and millions of years. And so to think, I got this, I can do this on my own. I'm not going to have sisters around me praying. I just don't want anybody to know when I'm going there.
Right.
Quiet and silent. That is called ignoramus.
That's right.
Word. Because you basically what you're doing, it's like I'm walking down an alley and everything's going great. And the sun starts to go down. And I keep walking down the alley by myself, even though it feels like this isn't quite right. And then this isn't quite right. It gets dark and I start hearing noises, but I keep walking down the alley by myself, deeper into darkness, until finally I notice there's 18 men intoxicated and they've got weapons and they're fighting. And I'm like, I'm okay. I got this. I'm going to keep walking. Well, instead of, not that this is a male-female thing, but imagine those are demonic spirits. And so I'm okay. I don't need help. I don't need to talk to anybody. I'm all right. It's just a little depression. It's just a migraine. And you keep walking towards darkness alone until you are overwhelmed. And this is why so many people are on medications, because you're in this place and the only thing the world can tell you to do is medicate it. It doesn't make it go away. It just numbs your senses to it. What Suddenly Free does, and we're going to be starting that here real soon, our program Suddenly Free, you're going to be able to join in on it.
I would love that.
It doesn't just medicate it because there's no medication involved. It actually looses you from it. It gives you sudden freedom and teaches you how to turn out of that alley and head the other direction so that you can find the right alignments that precede the divine assignments in your life to give you the structure, what I call scaffolding, that you need for a season of time. You may not need it forever. I've got some relationships and what I would call structural relationships in my life. They've been in my life for over 20 years. Some of them over 40 years. Some of them, my mama, over 50 years. But not all relationships, like I'd like to think, Lily, we're going to do this for life together. But I'm also mature enough to know that I could be scaffolding for you. And you might one day go, you know what? I don't need that. That's not what I'm called to anymore. I now am going to do this over here. That's why scaffolding is really important, and keep it tight to you. Obviously, I want you with me forever and ever and ever. But scaffolding is the boundaries. It's the bumpers in bowling so that you can have a more direct shot to that strike that you're wanting to get in bowling. The bumpers are the guardrails. Relationships. EMwomen is like a guardrail in your life. We don't give you a lot of leeway. We practice tough love. We practice a lot of love, but we also practice authenticity. We practice being clear and loving you too much. You might not like it. You might leave, but you'll come back because you'll identify what love really looks like. People think that God is love when he's just when everything's peachy and rosy, but they don't think God is love when humanity can act out and they're like, well, where's God? No, God's not over here with boundaries. That's outside of the boundaries. So that's outside of the boundaries are the realm of love. And that's why it feels like discord. So Lily, let's jump back to the topic, because I think there's some ladies tonight, maybe some men, that understand that message of what it feels like to go through depression, anxiety, frustration, a concern of what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? First, I want to say, you can see Sandra Gosser just posted our hotline number. It's an 800 number that you can call right now at any time of the day or night, and we will pray with you. We want to wrap our intercessors around you. You can go to EMwomen.com/pray, and you can actually type to your heart's content what's going on in your life so that our intercessors not only can reach out to you, but then know exactly how to target you with prayer. That is the beginning. That's the first step of coming out of that alley, is find a link to prayer, a link to God that can be like a life cord pulling you out through prayer and intercession. And then also what will happen is you'll begin to align with someone like Lily or myself or Sandra or Christina or Donna or Joe, list goes on, of somebody who then becomes an advocate with you that says, you know what, you're looking for that job. We're going to stick with you until you find it. And we're going to pray that God does in you what he needs to do until you get it. Yes. So that's the first thing, is the 800 number, call it, get help, or EMwomen.com/pray. The second thing is to recognize, and I know there's a lot of people that disagree with this, and I'm okay with it because I'll stand up with them. And then after they've tried all the medications and all the hypnosis and all the things that don't work, they'll come back and realize this is a spiritual issue. Depression is a spiritual issue. You can tell me you can tell me it's hereditary. You can tell me it's scientific. You can tell me it's a mental disorder. Yes, I agree with that. But it's a spiritual disorder. It means that you're walking down the alley, everything could be great, and all of a sudden you feel overwhelmed. Well, what's happening is you are being overwhelmed. You're walking in light matter, meaning goodness, graciousness, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness. And then all of a sudden you are targeted by enemy, darkness. The very few of you will be targeted by the devil himself, but his minions. And all of a sudden you feel this sense of depression and anxiety, and you start to question yourself instead of realizing, yo, I am getting ready for a battle and I'm going to fight. And how do you fight? Worship, prayer, alignment with the right people, staying plugged in. Don't keep walking down that alley yourself. Don't go through depression yourself. Get yourself to a place where you just say something. Hey, man, I need prayer right now. I don't know why, but I feel these spirits of depression and anxiety all around me. I'll tell you what they're trying to do. They're trying to get you to make a bad decision because they come to kill, steal and destroy. And they know if I can get her, let's just walk down this. I'll use a practical example, not your example, but someone else's. So they go through depression and they start to hear voices. You're old, you're washed up, you're a nobody. And so they're going through this depression and they start cycling, and then they see an old boyfriend with a prettier girl. And so the depression really sinks in, and next thing you know, they're scrolling and now they're following. And this depression, depression, envy, anger, bitterness, unforgiveness, it all starts to set in. And what those spirits are trying to get you to do is make a decision like, you know what, I'll show them. And I'm going to call Jimmy John, and I'm going to get Jimmy John to go out with me this weekend. I'm going to put on a sexy dress and a low-cut shirt, and I'm going to selfie myself up and show them that I'm okay with Jimmy John at the bar. Right? So next thing you know, you and Jimmy John are on the bar and you're doing these selfies, and for a moment you feel revenge, you feel good. But that was the decision the enemy wanted you to make, because now you got the history of Jimmy John you got to live with, and that night you wish you could just erase, and all the things that you did and said that night that you just know are not a part of your new character. So when we begin to recognize that that alleyway is actually the enemy's plan to suck you into loneliness so he can get you to make bad decisions, all of a sudden you start backing out going, whoa, alley doesn't look so good. Loneliness doesn't look so good. Not hooking up with my sisters not going to church doesn't look so good. Not watching, I take a Sabbath every single Sunday from 8 p.m. Saturday to 8 p.m. Sunday. You can't get me to do something about making money on that time, because that's me backing out of my world where I'm with all kinds of people all the time, pressures and KPIs and OKRs and data analytics, empirical data. I got to reset my brain.
Sure.
If I go into week 2 with all that, eventually I'm going to be walking down an alley.
Right.
And I'm going to feel exhausted. and depressed and add menopause on top of that, I might be a little cray-cray. That's why we've got to have moments to reset.
Absolutely.
I would say that to you, Lily, knowing that that's been something that you've dealt with. Actually, I didn't know that, but I know that you're saying that now, that a lot of people deal with it, is to recognize why it is.
I think isolation is a very, very dark place. And a lot of us, I would say A-type personality people that want to always seem that they have it all together and hate to ask for help. They just isolate themselves. Us introverts, I'm an introvert. It's hard for people to believe. They think, oh, because she's all outspoken and out there, she must be an extrovert. But I'm such an introvert that by nature, that I rather just, keep it all to myself and not share any of my issues with anyone, and just try to resolve it between me and God and whatever the issue may be. But I'm here to really tell all the women out there that are watching this, if you feel isolated, if you feel depressed, especially during this really, really bad time, like it's a detrimental time right now. I mean, people are losing their jobs, entrepreneurs are losing their businesses, and there's just, a lot going on. And if they feel depressed, they feel isolated, they feel that they just need someone to hold their hands and just look at them in the eye and say, it's going to be all right. Let's just pray together about this. Let's see what the next step is for you. We're here for you here at EMwomen. I mean, we are here to pray with you. We are here to support you. We are here to hold your hands, every step of the way. Just reach out. Make sure that you reach out to one of us. Go to emwomen.com/pray and just put in your prayer request, and we're going to be reaching out to you.
Let's do this quick, Lily. Why don't you go through some of the questions that are there? Can you see them on the screen?
I don't. I actually, I don't know if I need to be on Facebook to be able to do that, but let me see if I can connect.
While you do that, and see if we've got any questions that have come in there.
Okay.
That we need to answer tonight, because we want to make sure while Lily and I are talking that we also hear you. And we want
to the way, just reach out. Make sure that you reach out to one of us. Go to emwomen.com. Sorry.
That was beautiful. I love it.
I don't think I can see the questions here, Staci, because I'm on the whole StreamYard.com. It's not even connected to.
Okay, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
But can I ask you a question?
You can ask me anything you want.
So it's a question that I have. Like, we talk about leadership. We talk about, how to rise up. In the marketplace, how to really, like, you have held multiple high-level executive positions in, really large companies. And I know that you always talk about, it's not the level of education, it's not what your past has dictated, in order for you to really have that edge in the marketplace. Can you just elaborate on how can we all, especially as women out in the marketplace, how can we have that edge to be able to rise above?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. It is a great question. In fact, that question is so great and so often asked by women that Baker Publishing and Chosen contacted me and said, will you write a book that speaks to women on how to do what you've done? I don't have a pedigree. I don't have a college education. I'm just a woman with a passion taking action and a certainty that outweighs uncertainty. So where does that come from? And then how do you evolve that into skill sets that are valuable in the marketplace to where you become a very high net worth executive in the market where people are pursuing you. Yes. So it doesn't happen overnight, and it's something I would say is a part of mastery. But I will say this, that when Baker Publishing through Chosen contacted me, at first I was like, you really want to write that book? And then I had to pray about it. And then it was, yeah, you need to write that, because when I started the book's done. It's coming out in November. And tomorrow I actually have my first marketing meeting about the book. And but when I started writing the book, it's when it was like about a year after the hashtag Me Too movement, and there was just all this, gender equality, and it was all just it was women being tough. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I just don't want to come across like that, even though like I fish, I get my own fish. I love outdoors. I love everything dirty, like getting my hands dirty and eating mud pies. But I didn't want it to be that. And, but yet at the same time, somebody said to me, it was actually one of my writing partners, Terry Toller, who is the co-author with me on Suddenly Free. Mm-hmm. And he said, Staci, let me remind you of the miracles that God has done through you, because you continue, since you are just a little bitty girl, you continue to say yes. And you live with an audacious faith that puts all the responsibility on God. Wow. And you've got to teach people how to do that. It's not about women's lib. It's not about gender equality. It's not about women should get paid as much as men, blah, 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 right? I think they should, but I'm not going to get all hyped up and get my panties in a wad over that. I'm just going to go do what I do, and I'm going to get paid a lot of money doing it. And I'm going to make sure that when I go in, I don't do it the best woman in the world. I'm going to do it as good as I possibly could in the world, whether I'm a woman or a man or a whatever. And so it's taking out the rhetoric of the world and creating your own rhetoric through the word of God. That's who good. Says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Greater is he that's in me than he that's in the world. Nothing will be impossible with God. So that sounds so trite, but again, let me say that word again, a micro distinction. You can say it, but not really believe it. Right. And if you ever are around horses, they can smell fear. And it's the same way with the higher level you go in corporate development or business development or investments, people can smell a farce a mile away. Yes. I can smell people, like you got all these coaches that are like, I do this and I do this and I'm a life coach for this and I'm a coach. And then you go like, and how long, and I do this for families and marriages. And how long have you been married? And they're like, well, I've never been married. Okay. So not that you can't not be married and be a good coach, but there's an element of experience. Absolutely. That is necessary. There's an element of failure. That is necessary for you to bounce back and be powerful, because anyone that's done anything great in business or life has failed. Yep, that's right. The difference is they failed forward. They fell down and got up. So it's in the bounce that your greatest days happen. So the question would be then, okay, so I don't have any skill sets. I didn't go to college and I don't have any money. What do I do? Man, on your own, you are jacked up. You have to lean on the power of the Holy Spirit. You need God to fill in the gaps for you where you might be weak. He says, I'll be strong. When you might be dumb, he says, I use the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. So suddenly you go from being the issue. Well, I just don't know if I'm tall enough. I don't know if I'm pretty enough. I don't know if I'm white enough. I don't know if I'm black enough. I don't know if I'm skinny enough. All of a sudden, it ain't got nothing to do with you. Yes. It has everything to do with the one you should be dancing with. Absolutely. Let me give you an example. When I was in high school, I was not a pretty, my mom and dad would say, she's so pretty. But I was such a tomboy. I was a basketball player. I chewed my nails. I mean, honestly, my hair was always in a ratty ponytail, kind of like tonight. You're always beautiful. I was not the girl, in all transparency, that anybody wanted to go out with. I just wasn't that girl. I was friends with all the guys. And if you were going to pick somebody on the basketball team, I was always first or second pick. over all the other boys. So I had my spot, I had my greatness, but it wasn't being a babe.
Right.
And so when it came to what do they call it? Prom. Mm-hmm. I didn't think I'd be, I figured for sure I'm going to be going with my girlfriends, right? But there was this boy, he was 7 feet tall.
Oh my God.
Okay, so imagine this. I'm about 5'7", 7 feet, like 6'11", something like that, 7 feet tall. And he was getting a scholarship to go to the University of Kansas. Basketball player. He asked me to go to prom with him. Now I was a year younger, so it was his prom. You could have like knocked me over with like, I was like, what? I mean, like I'm shaking, I'm nervous. I'm like, yeah, of course I'll go. And I'm like going, what am I gonna wear? What am I gonna do? And so all these nerves, because I was like, man, in a million years, I never thought somebody would ask me to prom. So we get to prom, and I remember this I probably was in 10th grade, and he was a senior, because I played on the varsity basketball team, and so we were really good friends from basketball. Anyhow, so we're at the dance, Lily. And I remember, you know how you slow dance? Let me show you. You know, the boys got the arm around you, and you got the arm around should be his neck, but he's so far up there. I've got like my arms around him like this, and he's kind of like reaching down to me. And like my head is almost at his navel. And we're dancing, right? And you know how they do, and you got that slow dance thing going on. Well, so we're doing this dance, and I just got to tell you, I was captured. Everybody was laughing at us because we looked so funny. We're both jocks. And I remember at first hearing them laughing at me. And then I realized I could focus on the one I was dancing with and thoroughly enjoy the moment. Mm. And the more I stayed focused on the fact that he chose me to come to this prom, I don't care what anybody says. Mm. And this is what I want to say to women. God chose you. He wants to use you and position you in the center of the dance floor.
Amen.
That dance floor might be at Best Buy. It could be at Google. It could be at Chick-fil-A. It could be at a company that's going up. It could be in a company that's falling apart right now. Mm-hmm. Focus on the one you're dancing with. And don't focus on the circumstances. Don't focus on what people are saying around you. Don't focus on the rhetoric of media. Focus on the one you're dancing with, and you will find a place of peace. You'll begin to belly up to tables you never thought possible. When I now belly up to negotiating rooms with businesses that are worth hundreds of millions or sometimes even billion-dollar leaders, I can't think about how much money they're worth, how smarter they are than me, whether I'm equipped for the moment. All I know is God invited me to the dance floor. Mm-hmm. And if he gives you an opportunity for an interview, if he gives you an opportunity for to be able to go to some kind of special dinner, don't say no because you think you're not good enough. Don't say no because you think it's not for people like you. You belly up to that table and dance. And dance with the one. You might be just an Esther in the room of great leaders, but God needs Esthers in order to shift kingdoms. Yes. You might be a Deborah, and God's tried to get every other dude in the world to wage war against such and such army, but only Deborah in the Bible was willing to do it, so she got credit for it. Be a Deborah, be an Esther, be a Mary, be willing to say yes to God, even if it sounds absolutely asinine, crazy. I'm going to impregnate you. You're going to carry the Son of the living God. You're going to do this, and even though you're going to get a scarlet letter, everybody's going to think you're a harlot, but say yes anyhow. Whatever it is that God asks you to do, give him a radical yes and let him figure out the how. It's not your job. You just say yes. And that is what Fueled by Fire is about, is how to be fueled by talents, giftings, abilities, anointing, fire that's not your own.
That's really good.
So that you can do things you never dreamed possible.
So you got to have an X factor, and your X factor and your edge in the marketplace has always been saying yes to the call of God and being led by the Holy Spirit.
That is without question my X factor.
That's awesome.
Even in Good to Great, it talks about the hedgehog concept, right? What is your economic engine? What can you be number one in the world at? And what is the third one? What is...
I don't remember. I read that book.
What is your economic engine? Oh, and what is your passion, right? So here's what happens is a lot of people say, oh, I'm passionate about this, but they can't make money at it, right? So the hedgehog concept doesn't work. And then there's other people that are like, well, I'm really good at this and I know how to make money at it, but how will I be number one in the world, right? So here's what I say. For me personally, and this is where my X factor comes from, there's a lot of really good communicators, a lot of great businesswomen, a lot of great singers, a lot of great worship leaders. I will never be number one in the world at that because there'll always be somebody that comes along that's the next.
Right.
Ariana Grande, Mariah Carey, Mel Robbins, whatever, Oprah Winfrey. There'll always be someone that comes along that's just a little bit faster, a little bit edgier, a little bit. So I have to go back and ask myself, well, number one, what am I passionate about? The most important thing that drives my passion is I want to reflect God in the marketplace. So I want to help bring hope, help, and healing corporately. I want to bring hope, help, and healing individually. I want to bring hope, help, and healing politically. I want to bring hope, help, and healing financially. So I believe that's how I reflect God in all different areas of the marketplace. But what will I be number one in the world at, Lily? I will always be number one at being mom to Peyton Wallace.
That's good.
I will always be number one. There's be nobody else that could be a number one mom to Alexia Wallace. I will be able to hold the number one position of being the best wife to Larry Wallace. And suddenly, when I get my X factor really in place, I realize it has nothing to do with everybody else.
Right.
I have to do the things that only I can do on this planet. And those are the things that get my priority.
That's good. That was really good. So Larry sent me a message right up here, and I now can see the comments. Audra says, I'm very depressed. We need to pray for her. I've never seen this group, just came in Facebook and saw this, she said. Well, Audra, we want to invite you to go to EMwomen.com and really connect with us, EMwomen.com/connect, right? And Christina actually responded to that, so that's good. Let's see if we have any other questions.
Did you say it was Audra?
Yes.
Audra, if you're still listening, I just would like to speak to you for just a second because I don't believe in accidents. And so let's just take this whole show right now, or this whole Zoom. Let's just boil it down to you. What if God was so extravagant? Because we didn't have a topic to talk about depression tonight. That was just a blop in there. I just said to Lily, do you ever deal with depression? Why? Because something inside my head say, ask about depression. So what if the creator of the universe, what if the God of the sun, the moon, the stars, the one who has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt every more scientific evidence to prove that the Bible is real, the miracles are real, the historical prophetic word of that is real. What if that God, not just the concept of a higher being, what if that God knows you by name? And you popped on for the first time to Facebook and dropped in my little head, who's fueled by fire, which I do things that I don't even know that I'm doing because I just keep saying yes. He says, talk about depression. Talk about depression. Good. And I say what? I say yes. And I go, Lily, do you ever deal with depression? And that's not about Lily. That's about going through me to Lily, through all of this world of internet to catch you and go, baby, I got you.
Absolutely.
You are not alone. You've been bought with a price. I've loved you and not rejected you. So fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed. I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. You might think that you're going down, but actually I'm just pulling you back so I can get better trajectory for where I'm taking you. You might feel like you're in a season of setback, but it's actually a season of set up, because you're about to have a comeback story that's going to be something that you're going to be able to write a book about. You're going to be able to tell the world about. I have protected you. I have not neglected you. I am preserving you because there's something that you're called to do that no one else can do. Just like Cinderella, there's a set of shoes that only you can walk in. When you get into those shoes surrounded by the right people at the right time, stop letting people put you in a room of isolation, whether it's their voices or even physically. I really believe this is a message, a prophetic word for you, but others that are listening, you can just do this. If you want to grab that as your own, I would. If I were you, just pull it down. But I say to you right now, take this moment and begin to take off the sackcloth, the death clothes of who you have allowed yourself to become, who other people have tried to make you, and say, you know what? I'm going to reinvent myself starting today. Today, I'm going to be fueled by fire. I'm not going to be fueled by voices or rhetoric or opinions or even self-opinion of neglect and misworth. I'm going to begin to align myself with women. And here's what happens is when you line up with EMwomen, and again, go to emwomen.com/pray. Sandra will get connected with you, or just do it right here in the chat. Let them get connected with you. You will be overwhelmed with words of affirmation, with love, with encouragement. You might start to try to go back down that alley. They'll go, woohoo, come back, come back. We're with you. Don't go down that alley, because that's a dark, dark, dark place. And it's okay. We fall, we get back up. We fall, we get back up. But you will never again after tonight have to say, I feel so alone.
Yes.
And that is a great place to be. Personally,
Absolutely.
I just want to say I love you. I can't wait to meet you.
Same here. Jennifer Latham says, wow, thank you. I've been struggling with God through this issue. I've had a recent opportunity open up and I feel so inadequate for the position. I was so unexpected. I was skeptical that it could be what God wanted for me. Needed to hear that. Thank you. Oh, I thought that was a question. So
well, let me say something to that. Every position, even the current one that I'm in, every position I've taken, I take it on blind faith. I always go in with wondering, can I do what I'm saying I can do? Because I have to go in with a certainty that outweighs uncertainty when I'm dealing on the level that I deal. And then, just like any other basketball player, football player, you're like, I hope I can score this year. I mean, you're getting paid $23 million because you're the best wide receiver. And you're like, I hope I can receive. Because at the end of the day, you got to put some blind faith out there and believe that. And this is why I say, if you're going to do that and you're going to go all kamikaze, big, bold, audacious, then be hooked up with the God of the universe that can do things that you can't do. Let him fill the gap of your inadequacies. I remember one of our ladies was going out for a job interview, and we were talking of, there's so much I could talk about job interviews. We might do a night on job interviews, because I think it would be very effective for people going out for bigger positions and wanting to make more money. But this particular person said, oh, I couldn't go for that job because I'm not qualified. Well, you just might as well have just like stuck me with a cattle prod. I was like, what? Did those words just come out of your mouth? I can't because I'm not qualified. And yet you're being given the opportunity at least to put in your shot. I said, girl, you go in believing that you are the best candidate. And you go in believing that you can't. Now, obviously, if they're asking you to be able to type 100 words per minute and you type 3, then you got some work to do. You're either going to have to show them how you know how to hire really efficient people who can type faster than you, or you're going to have to get practice up to fill that gap. But never say I can't. I always say to my kids, I understand I don't know how to, but I can't should be like sucked out of your vocabulary.
That's good.
Look, you know, like if somebody were to say to me, and they did recently, Staci, I need you to write a press release. Now, I'm an executive vice president of strategy and marketing. I hire people to write press releases. I don't write press releases. And I certainly don't write press releases about integrations and software programs that are integrating together in order to be able to 1,500. I'm like, I could easily go, I can't write that. I don't know enough to do that. That would be a bad thing for me to say. And I would spank myself if I said that. You know what my response was? You know what? I'll figure that out. Because if there's ever been a press release written about integrations, I can go study them. I can go look at press releases and give me just a few minutes. It might take me about 3 days, but I'll come back with the best press release you've ever seen. Next thing you know, I've written a press release. I've put it out on the newswire. It gets like thousands of hits. I suddenly all these TV stations and people. Why? Because I did the yes and God did the rest.
Yes. That's
but
good.
If you don't do the yes, then God can't do the rest, which is the above and beyond all you could ask or think. So pull back your courage shoulders, chin up. What was that? Chin up. Chin up. Don't stop. So do what you can do and then let God do the rest.
That's good. It just reminded me of a statement, Brendon Burchard. He's also one of the motivational speakers that I follow. He always says confidence is trusting your abilities to figure things out. If you trust in your abilities, that even if you don't know anything about the topic, about the subject matter, just trust in your abilities that you are able to figure things out. That is going to exude confidence in the marketplace.
Yeah. So a heart-led leader. Brendan's really good about being a heart-led leader.
Yes, he's really good.
Because your heart can often compensate for your skill set, lack of skill set. So if you can imagine that right now, employers aren't looking for good employees. Employers are looking for solutions.
Right.
Employees are a dime a dozen. Solutions create billion-dollar corporations. Mm-hmm. So you've got to figure out a way to position yourself from just another list of candidates to an innovator, a solution thinker. I'm right now hiring I need somebody who's got advanced graphic art design skills, who can also potentially do broadcasting with me and who can be a personal assistant. So there might be somebody that goes, oh, I've got 2 out of the 3. But I don't have any graphic skills. Well, that's tough for me as the employer because I'm like, reject, because I really have a core competency of needing graphic design done for our company. Sure. So that is, you might look and go, okay, well, that is actually a core competency that I don't have, but that's the job I want. Go take a class.
Right.
Go learn Photoshop, go learn the Adobe Suite, go learn InDesign, and then come back and do that job search again and go, you know what? I had 2 out of 3, but now I'm a triple threat. Mm-hmm. So never say I can't. Just say I might not know how, but I can learn and I can always come back later.
That's good. That's good. Great advice. That's all the questions we have, Staci.
Sweet.
Yes. So our session is about an hour and a half. Can we still talk, or can we? Do we not have enough time?
You got another question?
I can come up with a lot of questions.
You know how to come up. We can. This has been a thick night. Really great topic. Really great conversation. Lily, you've done a great job.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure for me to be able to join you on Facebook Live.
Yeah, well, you're a natural.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So are you.
As we go into the financial literacy, that we do the classes like this, you and I, and we do it in this kind of format, or we might, do it in the offices. Just for those of you who are watching, we really are believing God. And if you know of anyone or you've got some ideas, our eyes are on the lookout right now for EMwomen to have a headquarters, that we can have offices to where we can actually have an event center maybe more like a training room where we can bring women in. We can do the financial literacy test. We can do the family, all the things that we're talking about here. We also want to be able to eventually have property where we've got the transitional living. Some women need a 90-day kick to really get back up on their feet. We have found that a lot can happen more in a 90-day program than sometimes even an 18-month program or a 2-year program, because there's an intentional in and an intentional out, and then there's real life application quickly so that people don't become codependent on systems again. So we just really be praying about that with us. The property, we want a storefront headquarters so that we can be open to women daily, and let that be the beginning of EMwomen centers, women's leadership centers all over the world eventually. And so if you want to be a part of that vision, we encourage you to go to emwomen.com/donate. We are continuing. We're going to continue to gather. We are a resource of, it comes in and it goes out. It comes in. We're making sure that there's no dead dollar in EMwomen, meaning we don't believe that we're supposed to just harvest the money. I mean, we're supposed to just save or take in. We're supposed to harvest money. And so it comes in and it goes out. We're always planting into women, planting into initiatives. And so we would love for you to be a part of that vision. And then when we get that facility, we'd love for you to be a part of that as well. We love you guys. And Lily, I just think, we might have to make a thing of this.
Absolutely. I would love that. I learn from you. Every word you speak, every topic you talk about, I always learn from you. So it would be my pleasure.
I love that. Well, I love you ladies that are watching, and men too.
Yes. Laura said that very good meeting tonight. I needed it.
Awesome.
Well, that's good, Laura.
We love it.
Right. Well, thank you for your time. I thank all the viewers that are viewing with us, and hope to be able to connect with everyone soon.
Awesome. emwomen.com/pray if you want to connect with someone.
Yes.
Love you guys. Good night.
Bye.